Hey everybody, I'm Katallina, and today we're here to talk about episode 8 of Vampire Dormitory. It deeply pains me to say this, but it's possible that there is something dark and potentially sinister about Len. I really don't like that I'm saying this. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope he's innocent, but there is a possibility that something is up. There is also the reality that some of the stuff that he did in today's episode was absolutely 100% sketchy. And from a modern context, it would be a hell no. From a he's part vampire standpoint, I'll let some of it slide. But let's get into it and talk about it because, yeah, he did a lot. First up, we have the reality that we start the episode from the point of view that he has found out that Mito is a girl. He knows for sure. Finally, something I've wanted for 7 episodes has happened in episode 8. We finally have somebody who knows. Actually, we have 2 people who know. We'll get to that. So the interesting thing about this is that he seems to immediately turn this around and utilize this as a means to blackmail Mito. Not in a vicious sense, but still in a very sketchy sense. Kind of in the like nasty rumors my boyfriend's back kind of way, whereas like what would he do to her if she didn't actually agree to go out with him, which ended up being outside, but still. The way that she took it and the way that I took it when he said it, which really had me raising eyebrows, was like, yo, be my girlfriend or I'ma tell everybody what you are. It was just like, what? Hello? That didn't end up being the case, but it still definitely took me for a loop. Now, I really don't know what to think about the fact that he took her out and he bought her clothes and stuff. On one hand, very nice of him. It's obvious she's poor, she doesn't have stuff, etc., etc. She's been through a lot. But at the same time, I really don't get his point of view as we watch the rest of the episode, because this doesn't necessarily seem like something he's done out of the goodness of his heart, and I'm not sure how far along on the case of like bad intentions it goes, because depending on how we interpret certain things in the story, it could either be sort of like he likes her and this is going to make it easier for him in his mind to get her closer to him, so he's trying to butter her up and stuff, or it could be way, 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 way darker than that. So we have the situation where, yes, she goes and she spends some time with Ruka, and of course Len hates that. And Len finally gets a hold of her and pulls her into an alley as Ruka is chasing her later in the episode, and he turns around and he just full-on kisses her. Which, I mean, okay, I don't mind that in fiction, and some people may or may not mind that in real life, but I mean, this is not the guy she's interested in, so I feel for her. I will give her this. I do feel for her in that regard. I wish she was more flat up with him about that. I wish she was more honest with him about that. I think she does play some head games with him by letting him get strung along, especially in this episode where he's made his feelings a lot more clear. But I still can get that she was like gasping when he fucking kissed her. Like, what the fuck, dude? That came out of nowhere. And of course, the last thing we need to talk about after that whole become my lover and I'll protect you, or whatever the hell it was he said, which was like, what? The thing we have to look at is the fact that we get that cutscene with the man who appears to be his father, who indicates that when Len turns 17 as a Damphir, he is going to unlock some kind of special ability. And if he drinks Mito's blood, since Mito is obviously Ruka's destined mate, and then he makes a wish, something crazy is going to happen and it could impact vampire clans. Now, given the idea that this would require Len actually drinking Mito's blood and making a wish, which, I mean, I can see 2 ways this happens. 3 ways maybe. 1, they get kidnapped, she is brought to him, the father tells him to drink the blood or else or something, and tells him to make a wish. 2, he knows about all of this. He's known about this the whole time, and he's plotting and scheming, which doesn't make sense because earlier we find out how frustrated he was about what happened with his mum and everything. Unless this can somehow do something to bring his mum back into his life, which could alter things. Or 3, he has no idea about any of this. A situation occurs that will lead to him drinking Mito's blood, and because it's his birthday, he blows out the candles and makes a wish within a time frame, and it goes along something like that. Who knows what it's actually going to be? We're going to have to wait and see just where this is going to go, but depending on what's going on and everything, is Len actually a villain, or is Len just the alternate dude? Because Len was acting kind of sketchy in this episode, but some of it was just like individual person kind of sketch, and some of it was like, are you a villain and have you been playing me this whole time kind of sketch. So it'll be interesting to see which way this goes. The next thing we need to talk about is the reality that Mito just drives me up the wall. Okay, Mito, you finally actually get something you've wanted. Ruka has seen you as a girl, but because you are afraid of losing everything, you don't want to tell him that you're a girl. But the longer that you prolong not telling him that you're a girl, the worse this is going to be. That would be bad enough on its own. But then he's all like, can I have your contact information? Can I see you again? Like, he's freaking out unknown to you because he's found his life mate. And you're like, I don't know, whatever, like all wimpy and whiny, and I don't know. And then turning around and being like, can I have ice cream? And you eat the ice cream and then you just run the hell off? Like, yo, you got a dress from Len. You got ice cream from Ruka. And you gave both of them the frickin' runaround like some little spoiled princess. And then, as she's thinking about things, we hear the saddest violin music. And she's all like, it's so hard being pretty. Which is like, bruh. Now, here's the thing. From the perspective of what we find out kind of implied through the story, yes, I can get where somebody could say it's difficult being pretty. Especially, I can understand the reality that a young teenage girl who is physically attractive would have a higher chance for sexual assault when living alone on the streets. That's reality. She would become a prostitute. It would be a hot fucking mess. That is truth. But every person in life deals with different kinds of problems, whether it's the problem of consequences of appearance, whether it's work, whether it's weight, whether it's any number of things. And the idea that this show is trying to like highlight the inverse of pretty privilege is just weird, and I'm just not having it. Like, I can understand that she's had a hard life. I can understand the pain that I can only imagine the pain she's experienced having people abandon her and stuff, but the life is so hard because I'm pretty is just not something I can connect with. And using the guys, whether or not they are saints themselves, is just yuck. Okay, so another thing I want to just say on the side, because I don't have a lot to say about it, but I want to confirm it. Apparently it looks like I was right about Komori. I don't know whether he just figured it out now or whether he's known all along. I don't have proof of that, but he is definitely aware of who Mito is, and he is definitely in on it, whether Mito knows it or not. That is going to be useful going forward, because obviously Komori wants what's best for Ruka, and as his destined mate, whether I like her or not at the moment, Mito is the correct choice, so that is definitely a plus. Lastly, we need to talk about Ruka, because holy crap, homeboy is clueless. Oh my goodness, brother. How could you not tell it was her? Now, I will say, I will give him this. When we were talking with Len earlier in the episode, we find out from listening to what Len says that obviously Mito has been altering her voice, which is weird because we as the viewers have not been hearing this. There are certain shows I've seen where people will actually have two voices when they're doing stuff, and that can be a really interesting trick. Like Momonga in Overlord has a voice for his thoughts and a voice that he uses out loud. I wonder whether they should have used something more clearly for us to understand the distinction between her versus her persona. I don't know, that's a tough call. But Ruka still has no clue. And Ruka has no clue when he goes home, and Ruka has no clue when he sees Mito with her wig back on and everything. And like, I just don't understand how he can still not know. But I mean, that's part of the identity trope, and that is one of the cores of this story, so it is what it is. It's no different than like, I'm not going to criticize the show for Len actually sucking the poison out of Mito, even though that is not how that works. As somebody who knows a lot about snakes, that is not how that works. Do not try that at home, boys. No. But yeah, like the whole Ruka thing was just a freaking mess in this episode. I did feel for him with the fact that she just like used him and took off like that. That was so lame. That was just yucky. And I mean, like, she did the same thing to Len. I mean, yes, Len offered her the clothing and stuff, And obviously Len kind of has something in mind as to what he wants, but I mean, poor Luca, he was just talking to her, he'd gotten her a drink, and he's all like, can I see you again? And she's like, I don't know. And then she's like, oh, can I have this thing? And it was like, oh my god. I know I'm repeating myself, it's very hot here today. But yeah, it was a mess. Anyway, what I am glad about with this episode is that we are definitely seeing plot progression. We are not running in circles now. We actually seem to be getting somewhere and moving towards something interesting, and that is going to be fantastic. But I would love to know what you guys thought of this week's episode, so feel free to drop a comment below and let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!